Welcome to MT Bytes. In this video tutorial, you are going to watch how the multiple drop-down lists are created in Excel. Lists are commonly used data validation in Excel, but the multiple drop-downs are used when we need categorized lists. In this worksheet, we have certain data needed to be categorized. In here, you might have seen the categories of food items in here, such as bakery, dairy, and drinks and snacks, and here we have the corresponding food items related with each category listed in here. So these are the list of items to be categorized in the form of drop-down lists, or you can also call it as a dependent list in the column B and in column C. So now we are going to bring the categories of food items in the form of drop-down list from cell B4 to B11 to have the category selection in column B. And in here, column C, we will be listing the items related to the category selected in the parallel cell of column B. Example, if bakery is selected in B, then bread will be in the items. And also if we select produce in cell B4, the items oranges, apples, lychees will be listed in here in cell C4. Thus, the items in column C values are the dependent list for the categories selected in column B. So now we need to set up the list of multiple categories in column B from the cell B4 to B11. For that, I select the cells and I click on Data tab and then move on to Data Tools, where I need to select the data validation icon. So I click on here. So once I click, I can see the window, the data validation window appears, where we need to set up the data validation for the list. For that, I need to select the list option from in here. Once I selected, and then I need to set up the source, the values to be listed in here. For that, we need to select the values which is in column E, the categories of food items. So I just select all the cell values in here from cell E4 to E11. So those are the categories to be listed in the form of drop downs in here. So I just click OK. So now we can find all the categories have been listed in the form of drop down list in column B from cells B4 to B11. Now we have set up the categories of food items in the form of multiple lists in column B. As you can see, the drop downs contains all the categories. Here we need to construct the dependent list in column C of all these food items based on the categories selected in the cells of column B in here. So then these list of items will be brought into column C based on the selection, like milk, cheese, eggs will be brought for dairy in column C, and for soup the canned and dry mix will be brought in. So now we select the whole list of items and click on Formulas tab and move on to Define Names group in here, where we need to select the option Create from Selection. So here we are going to name the ranges based on the selection which we have made already. So once I click on here, so we will get this dialog box, Create Name Selection, where we are going to define the name for the selected range, and the name will be automatically assigned from the options which we select in here. So here I'm going to select the left column because this is a list categorized by rows. So just I select OK, and now all the selection ranges have been defined with names. The names are defined from the leftmost column, which is our categories, you can see in here. So now we have the names of the dependent list with the row headers. So I just click close in here. So it is easy for us to refer these names for bringing out the list based on the categories listed in here. So now we have to construct the items in here to list out based on the selection of the cells in column B. For that, I need to set up the data validation for these cells in column C based on the selection in categories in column B. So I just select a cell in column C and I go for data validation, where I need to select the list from the options in here for the data validation in column C. And for the source, we need to set up a formula where it has to bring the list of items based on the categories in here. So the categories must be defined from column B, and it has to be inserted with a formula where this has to be matched with the range and bring the items into the column C. for that I just press equals, and this time we go with the formula indirect, so then it can refer the cell value exactly. So I just key in on indirect, and I'm going to select the cell B4 as the value. So once I select B4, it comes with absolute reference value, where this is not applicable for here because we are going to drag this formula to the entire cells in column C, where we are going to set up this formula for the other categories as well. So this may not be possible, so I just remove the dollar symbols. I don't want to be this as absolute reference. I just key in just B4 so that it can be dragged down. It can be copied to the other cells as well by relative reference. I just click OK. So now based on the category, you can find the list of items in here. You can see for bakery, the item bread has been brought in here. Now the same data validation must be applied for the other cells in column C as well, so that the list of items will be brought in here based on the categories. So for that I just select the cell where we have already applied the data validation and copy the cell, and now we select other cells of the column and make a right click in here and move to paste special option, where we need to go for the validation option in here. So I just click on validation in paste special option and click OK. So then the data validation will be applied for the other cells of column C as dependent list. So now you can find the list of items have been brought into column C based on the categories selected in column B. So for dairy you can see milk, cheese and etc. And for drinks you can find juice, coffee and etc. And for meat you can find beef, poultry and ham in the list, in the dependent list. And for soup you can also find the canned and dry mix values. So now there is another issue in here. You can find there are some empty spaces in here in the list, so we need to get rid of these empty spaces. This is because of the empty spaces we have in the list in here. To get rid of these white spaces from the list, we need to remove the white spaces from the list of items in here from the range where we have selected the list. So for that we need to select all the items in here from column E to column J, and then click on home tab. So then we need to move back to find and select option in here. So just click on find and select, and where we need to go to special option. So just click on go to special. So you will find a window where we can get rid of these white spaces. So here in go to special window you will have an option called blanks. So we need to select the option blanks and click OK, which will select the blank cells. So now you can find the blank cells have been selected, and it's simple now. Make a right click and delete those selected blank cells. So here I just click on delete. So once I select delete, we will get a window where we have two options, either for columns or rows. So this time it is for rows, so I need to select shift cells left, so it moves leftwards. So I just click OK. So now all these blank cells have been removed. So if you click on now on the list which we have, you can see the white spaces have been removed already. So this is how we construct multiple dependent drop down lists in Excel.